Very emotional night at the Bell Center as the Montreal Canadiens paid tribute to one of the greats before the game, Guy Lafleur. A lot of tears were shed in the Bell Center last night. A lot of tears were shed and will continue to be shed by our next guest, who has been one of Guy Lafleur's very best friends for over 45 years. You're going to hear a lot of stories today on the Sick Podcast that you probably haven't heard anywhere else. Yves Tremblay, former Habs PR, 77, 78, and 79. He was part of those 3 Stanley Cup teams, developed a huge friendship with Guy Lafleur, and was his confidant for, once again, over 45 years. He joins us next on the Sick Podcast.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
And now a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Sports entertainment like no other. Brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense by nature, and La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.
It is the Sick Podcast, and it's brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense like Guy Lafleur, by nature like Guy Lafleur, the beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions the way the Flower did in order to make his mark. And La Cage, if the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you go back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you. I've thought of a lot of people over the past couple of days, and it took a while to track him down, but finally I did. He met Guy Lafleur about 46 years ago, and they've been best friends ever since. Yves Tremblay, thank you for doing this. Merci beaucoup.
Hi, Tony.
A couple of days later, Guy passed Friday morning, late Friday night, early Friday morning. Pardon me, late Thursday night, early Friday morning, give or take at around 1:30 a.m. Here we are on Monday afternoon, and it's still very difficult, isn't it?
It is, Tony. Friday morning, 6:05 in the morning, I opened my phone after I woke up, and there's a guy on from Energy, the 94.5, I think, the radio station. They called me and they said they had a post from Mark Lafleur, and they wanted to know. They said, "Sorry, Mr. Tremblay, we just received a post on Facebook from Guy Lafleur's son, but we don't know if this post is real or being hacked." And I said, "Send it to me." So they sent it to me, and I said it was written.
Radio Energy à Montréal, I believe, is 94.3, but yes.
And it was written something really nice. Thank you, Dad, for and he used to call Guy Dad and his mother Mom. So I was sure it was him. So I answered the journalist. I said, "It's really Mark." And suddenly, 10 minutes after, it was all over the media, and it didn't stop since. And I received how many posts, tweets, all the media called me, and it's really tough, Tony. It's really tough.
Yeah.
I brought him back in New York in 1988. He didn't even know that he was coming back. And he was like my brother.
Yeah. We're going to talk about when he returned with the Rangers in just a second, because I know that
I'm sorry, Tony.
No, that you don't have to.
That the interview.
You don't. Listen, you don't have to be sorry. I've been very emotional since I heard that he stopped the medication, which was back in the month of January, and so we knew that he was on. It was going to be a question of time. I've been pretty emotional myself, so I've said this before, but my first memory in hockey, born in 1972. I was 6.5 years old, and I remember my dad, a big Canadiens fan who came here from Italy in '67, quickly fell in love with the Montreal Canadiens. He still talks about the Stanley Cup in 1971, and then Lafleur was drafted after that cup, first overall. Lafleur won his first cup with the Canadiens in 73, and then, of course, thereafter, 76, 77, 78, 79, those were his 5 cups. And I still remember the 79 goal versus the Bruins like it was yesterday, because all I remember was being in the house. My dad was watching hockey, and he let out a big scream of joy, of course, when Lafleur tied the game. So that's my first moment in hockey. I remember that, and I became very attached ever since. I had the poster of Guy getting changed in the dressing room. He didn't have his jersey on. He was tying his skates. I had that poster taped to my wall. I had a Montreal Canadiens t-shirt. My father was a tailor by trade, so he sewed the number 10 on it for me. But he gave me the love for the Montreal Canadiens, the love for hockey. And I've been working in the media for the last 20 years. So I believe that he's responsible for me choosing to do what I do in my life. And so I feel I lost someone very important to me. And for me, the thing that makes me most sad, I mean, everything makes me sad, but for me, Guy Lafleur was Montreal. So I found like my city, a part of my city died when he passed away. And ça fait beaucoup de peine. This hurts me a lot. And we're talking about a great man, which I know that you have so many stories. I'm hoping I can get a lot of them out of you today. But you first met Guy Lafleur about 45, 46 years ago, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So you were hired by the Montreal Canadiens to do PR?
Yeah, I paid my studies at McGill, being a sport writer for the French Sport Illustrated in Quebec. And I was 19 when I met Guy for the first time in an interview, and suddenly I graduated from McGill, and Claude Mouton and Jean Béliveau hired me for a big $11,000 a year. Mm-hmm. We were working about between 80 and 90 hours a week. And my timing was, I thank God for that. My timing was great, because at that time, we were not wondering if the Canadiens would win the Stanley Cup. We were wondering how many games it would take to win the Stanley Cup. I was really lucky to meet all those guys. They were not corporation on skates at that time. Yvan Cournoyer, Serge Chavard, Larry Robinson, Pierre Bouchard, and Guy Lapointe, and those guys were real and real human beings, and they adopted me because they were maybe 2, 3, 5, 10 years older than me, and they adopted me, and I stayed friends with them, mm-hmm. especially Guy. And Guy and I developed more and more through the years, this friendship, and we had confidence in each other, and I was without him talking to me, I used to know what he was thinking, and the same thing, it was reciprocal between the two of us. He understood me, and I understood him, and that's why we had a nice chemistry between the two of us. Sorry, I have troubles to find my words.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Lately, so do I. How long did you work for the Canadiens?
3 years, 77, 78, 79, under Mr. Pollock, for Claude Mouton and Jean Béliveau. Jean was a great boss. And but I was doing marketing at that time. I was traveling. I was even taking care of the junior team at that time. And I stayed there for 3 years, 3 Stanley Cup. I was lucky for that.
Wow.
And Mr. Grunman decided that I had to be fired because he had to get his son involved. So he hired his son.
Oh, wow. That hurts.
So that's life. Yeah. That's life. But it's funny because when Mr. Grunman, after 3 years, and fired me, I will always remember that, Tony. It was a Saturday morning. I decided to take the Saturday morning to take my stuff out of my office. And I was on the corner, it was the old Forum. I was on the corner of Atwater and de Maisonneuve. I looked at the forum. I said, one of these days, you're going to hear from me. And it's funny because 10 years after, I was bringing Guy Lafleur back in the New York Rangers. And he scored 2 goals and 1 assist against Patrick Roy. Life is funny. Life is funny sometimes, too.
Yes, you're right. But before he became a New York Ranger, he retired from hockey for the first time with the Montreal Canadiens. Look, I'm going to say it, okay? Over the past couple of days, I had a chance to speak with a lot of people. His friend and one of his advisors, Donnie Cape, the great Yvan Cournoyer, the great Serge Savard, the great Guy Carbonneau. I spoke with former Habs athletic therapist Gaétan Lefebvre, T. Gates.
I know Gaétan.
Yeah. I spoke with Liam McGuire, who's like the prominent hockey trivia guy in the world, who's a huge fan as well of Guy Lafleur and of the Montreal Canadiens. I spoke with Yvon Lambert. I did not reach out to Jacques Lemaire, and I did not reach out to Ronald Corey. and I'm going to tell you why. Maybe one day I'll talk to them, and I've talked to both of them in the past. But at a time when I'm mourning Guy Lafleur, I chose not to because although Jacques and Guy and Steve Shutt had great moments together on a line when they played, Jacques as a coach didn't want Guy Lafleur on his team. People can say what they want. He didn't want him. He didn't see him in the top 2 lines. So he didn't think he was a checker, and he didn't think he was a shutdown guy. And Guy had a heart-to-heart with him, and he promised Guy that he was going to play him power play, shorthanded, regular shift, all that stuff. And I think he played him like 6 minutes. And that's when Guy said, you know what, called his retirement. Ronald Corey was okay with it, and then announced that Guy Lafleur would work for the Montreal Canadiens, which he did at one point. And then Ronald Corey fired him. So Jacques Lemaire as a coach and Ronald Corey as the president hurt Guy Lafleur very much. Did they not?
He had a real tough time. It was a sad period of Guy's life. And he always told me, Yves, they had me lose 5 years of my career and of my life.
Wow. So once you moved on and that you were let go by Irving Grudman and the new administration, you and Guy kept in touch at that point, even?
Always. And
give me an idea of how many times you guys would talk per day, per week.
It was regular. I mean, we had projects. I mean, I'm a former marketing man. I'm a natural marketing man, I should say. So I had a lot of ideas for Guy, and we used to go for dinner with Guy Lapointe, and many times. I mean, I don't know. I could sometimes I wasn't speaking to him for maybe 10 days, and he called me suddenly, and it's like the day before we spoke together. You know, I mean,
yeah,
it was special. Yeah. And suddenly I had an idea to produce the first hockey video with Pierre Ladouceur from La Presse. On that video, he was teaching the kids how to play hockey and all the techniques and if I can, Pierre Ladouceur, by the way, was a great journalist. Yes, he was. Oh, yeah, he was. And it's because he's got a voice problem and he's not on TV anymore. He was a baseball analyst. I think he was one of the first. He had the report card. Yeah. Hey, they not show this or whatever. Yeah. It was very good. Very good. I used to read his specialist in hockey, a specialist in baseball also. Yeah. And Pierre's a good friend of mine. And so I said, Pierre, I mean, do you want to be part of the video? So we started the idea, and he was pleased with that. That was in '85. And he took his first retirement when Cody, exactly what you said. And in 1985, I had this idea, and I said, I got an idea. There's no hockey video on the market. And after that, it's funny because after we did our video, Wayne Gretzky came with another video. Okay. And Wayne was, it was special. And when the first day of production all the crew, the production crew, we were at the La Quatre Glace in Brossard. We started the day 6 o'clock in the morning. We started the day, and we were filming. And the owner of the rink went down 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Said, Yves, Ronald Corey's secretary wants to talk to you. I said, okay. Went in his office, spoke to her. She said, Yves, Mr. Corey would like to speak to Guy. I said, we're just filming. We're on a video production, and we got all the crew. I said, it's Mr. Corey. He wants to talk to you. I said, okay. I went downstairs. I said, Guy, Ronald wants to talk to you. Went upstairs. And after 5 minutes, he said, Yves, I have to leave because Ronald Corey wants to see me before 5 o'clock. It was 4. So he went at his office, and it lasted about 5-10 minutes. Corey asked his secretary to take all the personal belongings that he had in his office and lock the door. So Guy went there, tried to open the door. The door was locked. He said to Lise, to Lise Baudry, he said, hey, my lawyer, she said, Mr. Corey asked me to do that. So it lasted about 5-10 minutes. He called me after that from his car. He said, Yves, it's terrible. I mean, I got no job anymore. Wow. I will always remember that, Tony. It was terrible, and it was really.
Why did he relieve him of his responsibilities? What was he doing at the time? He was helping with.
Yeah, he was PR stuff, and I was doing PR representation, and you wanted Guy to stay at the office. And I mean, when you know a guy like Guy, I mean, he's a public man.
Guy is not behind the desk.
No, I mean, he couldn't do. I mean, do like another clerk or another. I mean, he's a people person. He has to see his public. He has to shake hands. I mean, he was like that. So I understood him at that time. I mean, So I mean, he was for 4 years. It was really a sad period for him. And
so at that point, he's out of a job.
Yeah.
And what is he doing in those 3.5 years to pass the time, to keep busy?
I was working on many projects, and even at that time, we used to go to see different companies to be sponsors. And you know what, Tony? As much as he had everybody around him when he was the superstar years before, I mean, after that, because Ronald Corey had corporate connections, after that, it was really tough for us to sell project to companies.
Wow.
It was, that's the truth. I was there.
Wow.
So that's it. And after that, when the comeback happened, I mean, whoop.
So talk to me about
everybody was back again.
so talk to me about this comeback. How did it all come about?
In 1988, when I don't remember, was it in spring? When Wayne Gretzky signed with Los Angeles with the Kings? Was it in June? June, I think.
Yeah, I think it was in the summer. Yeah.
Yeah. And suddenly I saw that he was leaving for Los Angeles, and so a week after, I was shaving in the morning. I don't know. You know, in business, when you talk about visualization, it happened to me. I just visualized the Sport Illustrated, the front page, with Guy on the right wing, Wayne in the center, and Luc Robitaille on the left. And remember that at that time, hockey wasn't American. I mean, they had teams, but not like today. Today, I mean, we got American teams, a lot of it. So I said, it's going to be good for Guy, good for Wayne, good for Luc Robitaille. They're trying to sell hockey in the States. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay.
But I said, maybe it's a crazy idea. I'm a real marketing man. So I said, and I knew that Guy, during 4 years when I was with Guy and we were doing promotions, all the fans, most of the fans were coming to Guy and said, hey, Guy, you shouldn't have retired. You should be playing again. And plus, I forget, Tony, that in May, there was the playoff. Edmonton was playing. And a night, a certain afternoon in May, Guy said, hey, there's a game tonight. Come at my condo. And Mark was was young, was two years old, I think. He said, we're going to be with my kids. And suddenly, after a period and a half, he said, Eve, don't try to make me believe that I can't play with those guys anymore. It stayed there for me. I didn't say a word. And during those 4 years, when the fans, I'm going back to my idea, with the fans, when they were saying, hey, Guy, you should be back. And no. I mean, I'm retired. But you know what? It's like your brother. You know what he's thinking. He's trying to convince himself that
Of course.
So when this idea came to me for the Sports Illustrated front page, I said, Eve, relax, think for a while. So I took 4 or 5 days. And I came at my office in the morning. I told my secretary, I said, I don't want to, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. I said, don't give me any phone calls till noon because I'm busy. So I phoned Rogi Vachon in Los Angeles. He was the GM. I said, Rogi, I'm representing Guy Lafleur. He's coming back. But Guy didn't know at that time, Tony. Okay, because during those 4 days, we had a session at Denis Brothers' place for a photography session and for a promotion. And I think we went for dinner and for lunch. I mean, and I didn't say a word because I knew Guy. And I said, I'm better to make the move and I'll see after. So I phoned Rogi.
My God.
I said, Rogi said, Eve, are you sure he can play? I said, Rogi, he's been retired for 4 years. He's 6 pounds underweight. You should see him play with the legend. He said, okay, I'll call you back at the end of the day. So I said, well, better to talk to Guy because, so I phoned Guy and Lise, his wife, and is in Montreal. And I said, hi, Flower, how are you? He said, fine, and you? I said, good. He said, are you coming in Montreal? I said, no. I said, you want to make a comeback? I said, what? Said, you want to make a comeback? I just called Rogi Vachon, and he's going to call me at the end of the day. He said, are you crazy? Give me 10 minutes, I'll call you back. So he called me back after 10 minutes, said, I just spoke with my wife, Lise. Eve, I needed that. Okay, it's a go. We'll go Saturday night for dinner together, and you're going to call 5 teams. This is the way it started. So on my Rogi Vachon never called me. Never called me back. I stayed in my office till 9 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock.
Wow.
He never called me back, but he spoke to a newspaperman, so a journalist. So on Monday morning, I call it because I was covering the junior when I was paying my studies, like I told you, as a journalist. I called in New York. I spoke to Bergie, and I said to Bergie, he said, hey, Eve, you're in town in New York. Come and play golf. And I'm not in town. I'm in Quebec. I said, you want to sign Flower? I said, what? Let me have a coffee. I don't believe what you're telling me. So I explained the same thing as I did with Rogi. Yeah. Said, Eve, can you have Guy in your office in an hour? I said, no problem. Called Guy. Suddenly, an hour after, or an hour and a half, Guy was in the office. We made a conference with Guy, myself, and Michel. And he said, hey, guys, don't talk to anybody. We'll meet at the hotel in front of the Madison Square Garden because I don't want anybody, not even the employees, to see Guy's face on Thursday. 4 days after we went there, we spent the whole day there. Bergie brought us in Rye where the New York Rangers were training themselves. And I will always remember that, Tony, in Phil's office.
Phil Esposito, of course, yes, the general manager.
Exactly, sorry. And at the end of the meeting, he looked at Guy in the eyes and he said, by the way, the training camp was organized by Bergie this year in Three Rivers. So what a timing.
Yeah.
Tony said to Guy, I'm inviting you to the training camp, but as a junior. I'm not signing you any contract. He said, Guy, because when I spoke to Michel and Bergie before this Guy, Phil told me, he said, Eve, you're bringing me a hell of a problem. I said, what? How am I going to treat an NHL superstar after 4 years of retirement?
Yeah.
So after the meeting in the office, at the end of the office, he said, you're going to be treated as a junior. Are you going to be in shape? So Guy stand up, Phil stand up, and in front of me, Bergie, they shook hands. And he said, Guy said to Phil, I'll be ready.
Wow.
We came back by plane at the same night, And when we came back, I called George Cherry, who was training the Hilton at that time in boxing. I said, I knew George. I knew since I was a kid. I knew George. I said, George, it's confidential. Flower is coming back. Do you want to train him? We got 3 weeks. He said, Dave, no problem. I called Gene Cloutier, who had the hockey summer team with the pros, and I said, Gene, I told him the same thing. He said, no problem. So Guy started 6 o'clock in the morning. Every morning we had breakfast. 8 o'clock he was starting boxing training. And like Rocky, I got pictures of that, Tony. You couldn't imagine, films and everything. And in the afternoon,
I'd love to see that one day. Go ahead. Yeah, I'd love to see
it's
that.
fantastic. I mean, I got pictures, so nice video with him. And and in the afternoon, he was training on the ice in private with some semi-pros and pros in Laval.
Yeah.
So that's the way it started.
He showed up
And a year after his comeback,
Yeah.
the Victor Awards administration in Los Angeles and Las Vegas called me. He said, Mr. Tremblay, can you come here with Guy Lafleur? He won the trophy of for the Victor Award for the how do you call that, the
Comeback?
the biggest comeback of the sport comeback of the year.
Wow.
The greatest comeback. So
That's amazing.
we had fun with that.
Listen,
Tony, he was so happy you couldn't imagine.
He had a good season in with the Rangers. He averaged 0.67 points per game. How much did he like it there?
28 goals, I think, eh?
He loved it there?
Oh, I mean, hey, Tony, you're going to have goosebumps. First game, I brought with me 11 friends from here. Brought him there. We got the tickets. I got goosebumps when I'm telling you. We were standing in the arena. I mean, you know the way it is New York, eh? The big American show. Yeah. Lights went. I mean, it was dark. The lights. I mean, the lighters of the people where the fans were there. They put a nice number 10 on the ice, just like yesterday.
Yeah.
And on the board, it was flashing. Flower, Guy. When he jumped on the ice, I mean, it was like Montreal.
Yeah.
Guy. I mean, it was magic, Tony. It was magic. Unbelievable. No wonder why. I mean, everybody is. It's.
Yeah, I understand, Yves. I understand. Look what I have here. I've had Guy with me ever since. Look.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm sorry, Tony.
That's okay. Look.
Great.
Candle is burning here.
Wow.
And I've had that, ever since that happened. It's a sick podcast.
He was a special human being. I can tell you that.
Unbelievable.
I told my kids yesterday, we were crying in front of the TV.
Yeah.
And I said, you will never see that again.
So I introduced you to Sammy, who works behind the scenes from Sick Media. This is his project. Sammy was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy at 9 months old. His parents were told that Sammy wasn't going to make it by the age of 2. Today, he's 21. He went to John Abbott College, business administration, sports marketing. He's a social media genius. He's a big sports fan. He's got a huge social media following. He does work with athletes. And Guy met Sammy a couple of months ago because Donnie Cape set it up, and they met in an establishment on the West Island at Rockaberry's over Pie. And the place was closed. It was open just for them. And Donnie said to Guy, he said, look at this young boy. They told him that he was going to be dead by the age of 2. They told the family he's 21 years old and he's doing better than ever. And it gave Guy some courage and some will to fight a little bit more. But Guy spent over an hour with Sammy and his family talking. And even though you can tell he was suffering, he did it anyway. I've never met anyone like Guy Lafleur ever.
Wow, Sammy. Wow.
There'll never be another Guy Lafleur. And I want to say, shop for all your sports licensed sports apparel, including hoodies, caps, and T-shirts, your favorite teams, major leagues. And I bring it up because if you want, you can pick up a Canadiens jersey or a Quebec Nordiques jersey or a Rangers jersey. And why not put Lafleur in the back of it as well? Our sick merchandise at sportsbuffshop.com. Use code SICK15 for 15% off on all their items. I'm wearing GOAT today because for me, Yves Tremblay, Guy Lafleur was the GOAT. There were players that had more goals than him. There were players that had more assists than him. There were players that had more points than him. But for me, Guy Lafleur was the greatest of all time. Even though I know he wasn't, for me, he was. And I'm sure for you, he was as well.
Tony, you're so right. You know what? I had an interview to do with RDS, and the guy asked me, he said, what are the nicest goals that Guy scored? Or I said, the nicest goal he scored was off the ice.
Amazing.
I said, this guy was so human.
What did you see him do?
I remember like the story you said, just said for Sammy. I remember that on a December 23rd, Guy phoned me and for Christmas, and he said, I said, why are you doing the night of New Year's, Christmas Eve? He said, Eve, tomorrow on the 24th, I'm going to see, I receive a phone call. I have to go and see a gentleman in his living room. He's going to die in a week. And I'm going to go and see him at his place.
Wow.
That was on the 24th of December, Tony. It was always like that. It was always like that. It's not, I mean, if you got 3 months, I can tell you 3 months of stories if you want, you know. So I'm not surprised what he did with Sammy. And I'm so happy that you're telling me this today. That's another story I will tell to other people, you know?
Yeah. I know I've said this story before, but I picked up his jersey during the holidays at Christmas time. And I put it out there on social media, and it got to Guy's attention. And Guy told Donnie, he said, get me that jersey, that Tony guy. He deserves to have that jersey signed, Taberslack. So I delivered it to Donnie, and then a week later I went to pick it up, and he said, here, Guy's on the phone. And I said, Guy, thank you so much for signing the jersey. And he said, thank you for going out and getting my jersey. I appreciate it. I said, no, I appreciate it. And, I told him not to give up, and I wanted to let him know how much he means to me and how much he means to everybody, and that we all love him. And
wow.
He promised me that he was going to fight, and he fought. What did you think of one or two more things, if we can? He has his career. 2002, there was a beautiful event at Palais des Congrès with about 2,000 VIPs there in attendance. That was honoring Guy Lafleur. Was that it? And I believe, was that your idea?
Not only my idea, but I was a producer of it.
Wow.
And as a matter of fact,
it's on YouTube, by the way. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thanks you very much. And as a matter of fact, yesterday, when they did the celebration for Guy, you heard what Guy was saying in the back?
It all came from that night. Why don't we do this? Yeah. For those who didn't watch it, I have a 3-minute clip, if you don't mind.
Great.
Let's play it right now.
Okay.
OK, dans le sport, c'est la même chose. Puis c'est important, je crois, d'être motivé, surtout aimer faire ce que l'on fait, de jouer au hockey. Puis il ne faut jamais oublier que de jouer au hockey, c'est pas un travail. C'est un jeu. Il faut s'amuser. Puis il faut toujours gagner le plus possible. Parce que ces gars-là, c'était des bourreaux de travail. Aujourd'hui, encore, le Club de hockey canadien veulent vous en donner plein la vue. Je sais que c'est pas facile aujourd'hui. On a 30 équipes dans la Ligue nationale. Le talent est très dilué. Les joueurs n'ont plus besoin de motivation. On leur donne 2, 3 millions, 4 millions par année. La motivation d'aller chercher 25, 30, 50 buts par année, ne représente peut-être pas la même chose pour eux, parce qu'ils ne gagneront pas plus cher. Surtout si le gars il signe un contrat de 5-6 ans. Pourquoi me casser la tête et se faire 50 buts par année pendant 6 ans? Mais le sport est devenu très, très commercialisé. Puis malheureusement, les clubs essaient de satisfaire le public, essaient de ramener la certaine fierté. Puis le fameux flambeau que les joueurs du Canadien ont toujours trouvé que c'était une chose très, très importante de le lever très haut, puis d'essayer de le passer aux nouveaux qui arrivent. Mais c'est pas facile. C'est pas facile. Fier d'avoir comme équipe le Canadien de Montréal. Je pense qu'il n'y a pas juste les joueurs d'époque ou les joueurs d'aujourd'hui qui ont le CH tatoué sur le chandail ou au cœur. Il y a un paquet de partisans. Puis les partisans ont toujours eu un rôle important dans ma carrière. Même parfois, je disais, puis j'ai dit, que le public passait avant ma famille. Puis quand je le disais à ce moment-là, c'était vrai. Parce que c'est important. Moi, aller prendre un drink au bar ou n'importe où, m'asseoir avec Pierre Jean-Jacques, ça me faisait plaisir. Parce que lui, je savais que c'était un vrai aussi. C'est important d'être comme ça. Aujourd'hui, ce que je trouve, c'est que la majorité de la population a la difficulté à s'identifier aux joueurs, à se rapprocher des joueurs. J'espère que ça va changer avec le temps.
Let's stop it there if we can. Let's stop it there if we can. All right. Translation. Basically, he talked about how how much pride they had back then in playing the game, and the motivation was always there, and they didn't do it for the money, but they did it for the passion and for the love. And he says nowadays players get contracts, 5, 6, 7-year contracts, and the motivation to go out and score 25, 30, 50 goals isn't what it used to be, because, why break your head when you have a 5-year deal on the table, which is guaranteed money. And then he talked about being close to his fans, that at one point in his career, he put the public, and even after his career, he put the public ahead of his family. And he said there's not a lot of people that do that anymore, a lot of athletes. And he said it's important because the fan that pays, to watch your games and that watches you, those fans are real ones as well. Eve, we talked about his family life. It suffered because of that, right? Because he put the public before the family at one point. And I think he said down the stretch, he realized how important his family was to him. And he said it's better late than never, but everyone wanted a piece of Guy Lafleur, right?
Oh yeah, he knew that, and his wife knew that also. And he had these 2 kids, and he was traveling a lot. I mean, even after the practices, he was so in demand that he was owned by the public.
Yeah.
And he was, when his mother and where he comes from. I don't know if I think it's a matter of being generous and human. He was really, really generous. Time wasn't an. It's time. He belonged to his public in his mind.
Yeah. When he had the restaurant, when he said,
oh yeah,
he tried to be there as much as he could. And the thing that he hated the most about the restaurant business is that he wasn't able to be there all the time. And if he wasn't, that really hurt him, because he loved to be there. And sometimes he would, anyway, it was wow.
They were not coming there to eat. People were coming there to meet Guy,
Of course. A shout out to matrixhomefitness.ca, where Guy got on that treadmill back in 1988, made a comeback with the Rangers, and in the gym doing some boxing. Bring it home, discover a club quality workout in the comfort of your own home, and visit matrixhomefitness.ca. Even ending, I'm sure you watched the tribute last night. Were you at the Bell Center, or did you watch it on TV?
No, I watched it on TV. I wasn't able to go there.
Yeah, me neither. A lot of people said to me, you weren't there. And I said, I didn't have the strength to go. I really didn't.
That's it. And you know what? I'm just thinking of the funerals next week, and I really don't like that. I have to be prepared for that,
Yeah.
It's going to be special funerals. I went to Jean's funeral when he died.
Yeah.
But you know what? As I tell everybody, Jean and Maurice died. They were 82, 84. Guy was 70, Tony. He touched 3 generations.
Too young.
Our granddads, our dads, and our kids. Fudge. 70 years old.
Yeah.
That's too young. And you know what? This was the worst part of it. It's not in the nature of the things that the kids died before the parents, and his mother is still alive at 19 years old.
How old is she?
90.
90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's still
he when he played, like, he really wanted to make his parents proud, eh? Like, I mean, all kids do, but especially the relationship that he had with his father too, is he really wanted to play well for him, eh?
Tony, the show that I produced, I just showed it on the screen. I mean, I remember when we showed his dad's face, a close plan of his face. I mean, you saw the he's crying there. I mean, it was his father died at 62.
Wow.
He was with us at the Hall of Fame introduction when we were there.
Yeah.
And the same year that he came back. Because he was inducted in that's it, in 1988 in September, and he was coming back with the Rangers in fall.
Yeah. Yves, you and I have never met. I feel like I've known you forever.
Me too.
Which is very fitting, and I'll tell you why. Because if anyone ever met Guy Lafleur, you would feel like you've known him for a million years. And so I'm happy that it felt this way between us today, knowing the love that we both had in our respective ways for Guy Lafleur. We lost a good man.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Merci beaucoup.
It's a pleasure for me.
Thank you. It's a sick podcast. Tell your friends about it. Follow us on all social media channels, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram or Twitter at The Sick Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For Guy Lafleur, the GOAT.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by 8.6, Intense by Nature, and Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the cup, it's time you went back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you.